It has been a very busy preseason for the Atlanta Falcons, and I am joined with Terry Fontenot, the man in front of all of the action, General Manager Terry Fontenot. Thank you so much for coming and sitting down with me for a few minutes. First things first, like what I said, there's been so much happening. One, around the building, just getting this facility renovated, up and ready to go in time for training camp for guys to move in, but also a lot of work on the front end, in your front office, getting some guides in, trades, extensions, signings. As you're going through this preseason, this training camp, what was your goal for what you wanted to establish?
Yeah, really exciting. Like you said, all the stuff that's been going on here. And you walk around the building right now, and as things are really getting completed, it's unbelievable what's gone on to the facility. State-of-the-art weight room, locker room, the cafe, everything. And it kind of really sets a standard and where we want to be top level, high class in every area, whether we're talking about the actual facility, whether we're talking about each department, whether we're talking about the way Raheem Morris sets the standard for the coaching staff, whether we're talking about the way Kirk Cousins and Grady Jarrett and Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom and Jesse Bates set the standard in the locker room. Everything is high standard. The way Ryan Pace and Kyle Smith set the standard in the personnel department, everything is high standard, high functioning throughout the entire building, and that's what we want. We want that mindset because it's that winning mindset that whatever we're doing in any department, Jake Stroot in the video department, his mantra is when somebody comes down and asks a question, the first answer is yes, and we figure out how to do it. And there's nothing that he's not going to figure out a way to do. It's a standard. It's a mindset. And when you have that throughout the whole building, the whole department, it truly is a winning championship mindset. And so that's our goal as we step into the offseason, and we're really excited about that.
So we're going to go in chronological order a little bit because of the amount of moves, big-time moves that y'all were able to make this preseason. And I know for me personally, this is a training camp unlike any I've covered based on the fact of what I said before, how many moves were being made. So we're going to start with the trade for Matthew Judon.
Yep.
Why was he someone who you guys wanted to go after? And can you talk me through the process of getting to the point where you're like, all right, deal's done, let's get him here?
Yeah, good question. So that's one that we really, as soon as we knew that he could be available, as soon as we saw that, we reached out to the Patriots right away, and really appreciate Elliott Wolf and Coach Mayo and the way they handled themselves throughout the whole process. Just professional, the way they handled it was outstanding. So we reached out to them right away, and we wanted to know, but also we had internal discussions and went through what's the vision, how would we go about utilizing him for us, and you think everything, knowing that he's an upcoming free agent. How do you talk about the whole, all those areas, and so, but we had all those discussions, and we know he's an impact player, and he's a three-down player. He's the way he plays the run, the way he rushes, but also we do all the digging that we can, whether we have overlaps with coaches, with players, so we know the person, the human being that he is, and we know that he's going to add to the culture, which is really important. That's where we always start. We start with the person, and is this a person we want to bring here? And we know he is. He's a real football guy, a real football player that loves what he does. And so that's why as we go through that process, we talk about it internally, we talk to them, and once it got to a point where we could actually make a trade, the first thing that we had to do is we were going to talk to the player.
Right.
And we got permission from the team to actually talk to Matt, and we got permission to talk to his agent because we want to have those real conversations with him. And he's a grown man that's been in this league, and we're not going to do something that he's not comfortable with. So, and that when we got off that call, we were very excited about the possibility of doing it. And again, that's when we worked with the Patriots. But our mindset is if there's a player that can help this team, let's first see if it makes sense, again, culturally, if it's a fit in that way. And if it is, then it's going to help us win games, and we can be aggressive and try to get it done.
Within 24 hours of this kind of being finalized, you sign Justin Simmons.
Yep.
And he joins Jesse Bates III in this secondary. And immediately upon that news coming out, it's like the Falcons have one of the best, if not the best, safety duos in the league.
Yep.
So I know that it was a different process getting Justin Simmons here than it was Matthew Judon, considering what you're exactly talking about. You have to get permission from the Patriots to do what you need to do. But with Justin, he was a free agent. Y'all were kind of able to court him a little bit. And I know that he talked a lot about this dinner that everybody went to, and he said he saw the passion in Grady Jarrett's voice and heard it in his voice. I'm curious, thinking back for you when you were there, what do you take from that moment? of trying to get him here.
Yeah, and even going back even through the offseason, Justin was the same way. We talked about that during the offseason. We reached out to his agent, talked about the possibility. I had a conversation with Jesse Bates. Actually, we had a family day at the end of OTAs, and Jesse's out there with his son and with his family and eating tacos. We're out there hanging out, and I asked his opinion, and we talked about him. He knew who Justin was, and he knew about him, and so we talked about it. Again, when you have strong leadership and the culture in this building, we always want to know, we always involve our players as we're going through these processes. So we had a conversation with him and some of our other players, and we continued to talk about the possibility. And at the appropriate time, again, Tori, before we talked about the business part, we wanted to really see if it was a cultural fit, where we know all the great things about Justin Simmons, and we know he's a great man that's had a great career in this league, but still we want to get him here in person, and it's not just me and Raheem. One thing Raheem always says is that, hey, our players, this is your team.
Right.
This is your locker room, this is your team, this is your season, so obviously we want to involve. So at dinner it was Grady Jarrett and Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell, and we got to do that, and so he can spend time with those guys, not just us selling the vision and telling them who we are. We want to see how our players feel and how he feels about our players, and so it was outstanding. It was a really cool, because you really get to feel Justin's passion and what he wants, what he's really looking for in a team, but then you feel it from our players too, and that's really special. And when you hear him saying those things, talking about our building, talking about how in every area it's high functioning, we're on the same page, and whether you're talking about player performance or the training room or every area of this building is doing everything we can do to win championships. And when you hear the players saying that, because it's one thing I can say it,
right.
When you hear Grady saying that, that means a lot. And that makes you want to, when you have players like that, that makes everyone know we have to raise our standard, raise our level. But so it was cool being in that moment and hearing them, like me and Raheem didn't have to sell anything to Justin because our players were doing it. And that shows how much they love this team and how much they want to win. And so then as we continue to go through that process, Justin wanted to be here.
Right.
And again, Tori, that's important, because we can say, okay, this is how much we can pay you. Do you want to be here? Or you can just say, hey, do you want to be here? And if you do, let's try to work through this, because he had other options.
Right.
So he told us he wanted to be here and he wants to be a part of this. Then we could start working on the business part of it. So, but going through that process, it says so much about your team, where we are as a locker room. Again, with Raheem, the standard that he set throughout this building, but it's a positive, fun environment, but yet we're here working to win championships. And so that's what players want to be a part of.
You bring up AJ Terrell was a part of this dinner, and as we know, in the week after sign Justin Simmons and trade for Matthew Judon, you extend AJ Terrell, making him one of the highest paid cornerbacks currently in the league. And kind of talk me through that process, because that's also a very, very different process that's happening simultaneously with all these other moves being made. Grady Jarrett. AJ Terrell is a hometown kid. He's from here. You know how much he wants to be here. He has been a cornerstone really in the last 4 or 5 years. So kind of what did that process look like? How did y'all get from point A of, we want AJ here, he wants to be here, let's get something done, to it's done?
Really appreciate everyone involved in that, from Athletes First with Dave Mulugeta and AJ Stevens with Athletes First, and our administration department, Chris Olson and Karen Jones. They did so much work. Danny Lesk and all the work that he does, because there's a lot going into these contracts before we even make the phone calls to the agents in terms of assessing the market and all the details and nuances of the market currently, and with the big corner deals that have recently gotten done. And then also you look at other deals and where they are, you forecast the future. Okay, what corner deals are coming up and where are those going to be? So there's a lot of research that goes into it, and a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes, and a lot of people that do a lot of, there's a lot of conversations. Is exhaustive, because you want to get a fair deal for the team and for the player. You want to do right by the player as well. So there's a lot that goes into it, so very appreciative of all that. But the thing about it, the really cool part about this is you'd have never known that AJ was going into a contract year. You'd never known. He's the first person in the building. No one's working harder than him. He doesn't miss a rep. He's everything that all he's worried about is doing everything he can do to have a great season, to win championships and have sustained success here. That's all he does. That's all he cares about. He's a great teammate in terms of the way, because there's some teammates that are they do everything for themselves, but they still kind of have a selfish where they're not helping people around him. He'll do anything to help anyone around him, the way he carries himself. So he embodies everything that we want in a Falcon. And so that's so exciting. So you want to make sure you can do everything you can do to get those deals done, because it's cool to reward players like that. So that's exciting. Excuse me. So the coolest thing, Tori, is the day that we actually got the deal done. We're working late that night. We kind of get things finalized in the morning. And so AJ's walking in the defensive meeting, and Jimmy Lake's in the front, and he just sees that, okay, this deal just got done, and well, AJ just got paid some money. So
Right.
he tells Donnie, one of the coach's assistants, to play. He said, play a money song, play something that. So he plays some song. I'm not cool or hip enough to know exactly what the song was, but something about pay me the money or something. Yeah. So he plays this song. AJ comes in, and the whole room erupts, and everybody gets excited, and it's truly to see how the teammates really feel about him. They're truly happy for him because of that person he is, because of how he handles himself. So that's what's so special about it. To get a deal done with AJ and a cornerstone, someone that's that special, but it's the person that he is, and it shows that when you handle yourself the right way like that, and when you reward guys like that, that's really special.
Next thing that I kind of wanted to ask about is, we had a 53-man roster cut down.
Yeah.
That just happened. Kind of the remnants of that, putting together a practice squad, all of those kind of things. How did this year differ, or maybe even kind of have similarities to, you can tell me which one it is, to years past?
Yeah.
In terms of breaking down this 53-man roster, how difficult was this year? Because something that I thought it was interesting, I don't know if you or Raheem said it, but saying you took you would rank the 53, best 53 players.
Yep.
Not even talking about position, just guys you believe are the best 53.
Yes.
And then you go into that. So when you did that exercise, how close was this 53 to this initial 53 to what you did there?
Yeah, definitely at a different point.
Yeah.
In a good way, and we knew that we were going to have to cut some good players, and so it's really a puzzle when you go through it. And because what you have to also do is you rank the players, but then also you work backwards. Raheem will set his 48. Game day 48. And so we set this and make sure, okay, this is the 48, because sometimes, Tori, there could be a guy that may rank a little bit higher than someone else, but it's about roles as well. And it comes down to everything. So this particular player can have a 3-down role. This player has a 2-down role, first and second down. This player is one of your better special teams players. So even if someone else may be ahead of him at this point, but this guy's going to be up on the 48, and he's going to be an impact on special teams. So there's all those discussions. So you really have to, you rank the players, you go to the 48 and figure out that part, and then you kind of work backwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, because it truly is a puzzle.
Right.
And then, okay, who can we get to the practice squad, and how are we going to manage this practice squad? And it truly is, it's a 69-man roster now. We actually have an exemption, so we have 70 on the roster because we have the international exemption.
Right.
But that's your roster, and all those players are going to help you at some point. But it was a lot more challenging this year looking through it, because we knew we had some really good players that we know can help us that we had to end up releasing, but we really loved the way things happened with our practice squad and the way we were able to set that up. So tough. It's the hardest day in the world,
right,
because particularly we have so many good human beings, so many good young men that would do anything for this team. And so it's hard to have those conversations, even the guys that you might be able to get back to the practice squad, because you don't know that you're exposing them.
Yeah.
They could get signed. It's hard to have those conversations. It's a really tough day. But it was cool seeing how many players did truly want to come back. And then even when you release them, they have other practice squad opportunities. A number of our players did, and sometimes they'll go to another opportunity because they might get sold by one of the other 31 teams. But it was cool for everything to work out and for us to get back the guys that we really wanted, and knowing that all those guys are going to help us at some point.
It's funny because for a lot of my job, I look back, I look forward, I kind of analyze what's happening and what did happen to get you here. And I couldn't help but go back in time 2 years ago when we're sitting here and we're having a very similar conversation about, the salary cap and how much of an uphill battle it was those first couple of years in taking one of the largest dead money hits in the league's history just on the chin in 2022 in order to potentially get to this point in 2023 and 2024 where you can have health towards the cap.
Yes.
I'm curious, as you are looking back on the moves made, the decisions made to field this 53-man roster, what stands out to you about the work done to get from point A to point B?
Yeah, pretty special, and you get at different times in your growth and in your journey, and there's challenges through that, but you still grow through it. You know, we had a lot of players that are still here that went through those times, and those are tough times. But I would say there's a true, like, this team, this football team, the character, all those things. When we went through those hard times, the way the players continue to handle themselves, because there's sometimes you can see it's when everything's going well, then everybody can be at a certain point.
Right.
But the true test is when you hit those challenging points. And so we had some challenging times in the past, but we knew we were working to get to this point right now. And so now to have a healthy cap, and so now we can make decisions. We're still calculated in everything we do. We're still responsible, and we still look to the future and how this is going to affect us. But we truly are at a different point now. Having a quarterback like Kirk Cousins for right now, and having a guy that we know we can go out there today and win games with our offensive line, with the depth on our defensive line, with the players that we have in the secondary and at the linebacker and outside backer positions, with our skill positions on offense, we know we can go win games right now. And that's the really exciting part, because we're still looking to the future. And the mindset, like I said, Tori, is whatever we can do to continue to help this team grow, whatever we can do, we're going to do it. So it's very exciting. It's at a different point, but all those challenging times, those really help you get to this point right here.
It's funny because you talk to Grady Jarrett, you talk to Jesse Bates, you talk to A.J. Terrell, all these guys in this locker room, your leaders in the locker room, and they say the exact same thing. They're like, this roster is one of the best rosters that I feel like I've ever played with.
Yep.
You're a big part of that. You're the kind of peak of the pyramid in that. But every single time they say that, they add the caveat, but we have to go out and earn it.
That's it.
As you are sitting there in your spot and you're kind of like, you know, we've done what we can do. There's still work to be done. There's still tweaks to be made, but we've done what we can do. How does that change and evolve how you look at the season ahead?
Yeah, and it's cool when those players say that, because that means a lot when it comes from them. But I think a big part of that is it's not just about the names on the jerseys, or it's not just about the true physical talent that you see at practice, but when someone like Grady says that, the reason that that's so special is, you know, Grady's mentality and Grady's mindset. You know what the work that Grady puts in on a daily basis to be a great player, the great player that he is. Grady's not a great player just because he was born with this unbelievable talent and he just shows up every day. Grady goes through a process of work. So when Grady says something like that, it's because he sees things in these other players. It's not just, he's not saying that we're so talented. You take a guy like Bijan Robinson. Obviously, Bijan Robinson has a lot of physical talent, but he has a winning mindset. His daily approach and what he puts into it on a day-to-day basis. And so that's where you get respect from a guy like a Grady Jarrett. Grady's not going to say that if we just have a lot of talented guys out there. He's going to say it if he knows the mindset of this building and what it is. So what we have to continue to do is know, as we approach the season now, it's a daily basis. No one's comfortable, no one's complacent, not just in the locker room, but with the entire football staff. Everyone is in each one of their areas. We're doing everything we can do to go out there and win every game. So when you have those leaders like the Grady Jarretts, the Kirk Cousins, and I can go through a list of guys, but it's about the approach. So I think that's why those players say that, hey, this is one of the more talented teams we've been around. But again, it's not just about the physical talent. They know the true mindset of the team and the work that's going to go in on a daily basis. And we just have to make sure that continues, which we know it will because we have guys with the right character.
To wrap up, you said at the very beginning of this offseason, the onset of the offseason, you get Raheem in here, y'all start working together, and y'all use this word aggressive mindset.
Yeah.
The term aggression came up time and time again. And at every different point, you can see that word showing up.
Yeah.
So as you go into the season, this 2024 season is right around the corner, how do you see that aggressive mindset showing up with this team, and why should fans be excited to see something like that?
Yeah, I think it's just that. It's an aggressive mindset, but it's in everything we do. It's in everything we do. We're not, right now the roster is actually at 52, and we have a full practice squad, but we're constantly looking at how can we improve this practice squad? How can we improve this roster, this active roster, and how can we do everything we can do to win that first game of the season and get this started right. But it is a daily approach, a daily standard, and it's easy for me to say that, but it doesn't come from, we know who our head coach is, we know who we have leadership in the locker room, but it's throughout everything, top to bottom on the roster, top to bottom on the staff. There is an aggressive mindset in the daily approach. In everything we're going to work hard to be high standard and make sure we're high functioning and doing it the right way. So that's why our fans should be really excited, because look, I always say we have the best fans in football, in sports, and they deserve it. They deserve to be able to win a lot of games and to go to the stadium and beat teams and have fun, and they deserve that. And they should be able to sleep well knowing that we're not sleeping here, because we're doing everything we can do to make sure that we get that. And you have a culture that's so strong, and and all we care about is winning and winning the right way. So they should be really excited, because we're going to make sure we do everything we can do to have a great season.
Love it. Great note to end on. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, girl.
Everybody, thank you so much.
Awesome.